Well, our Rafsanjani is the head of Transparency International Nigeria and executive director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. He's joining us tonight on Newsnight to talk about this series that we have been following for a while now. Good to have you on Newsnight tonight.
Welcome to Newsnight.
All right, let's start first with what you think, in your own estimation, actually fuels high cost of governance in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers. There are a number of issues that is ridiculously making the cost of governance totally unaffordable and unbearable in our country now. The reality is very clear. We cannot afford to be having this jamboree of political appointees at different tiers of government, making their expenses over bloating. So if we are serious about reducing the cost of governance, we must at all levels, from the presidency to the state level to the local government level, reduce the number of the so-called political appointees. In some states, we've seen how some reckless governors appointed, 1,000, 2,000 SA. I think this must stop, because you are draining the resources of the nation in the name of settling political appointees. That's number one. Number two, last year alone, we lost over 300 billion naira on fraudulent procurement processes in this country, because procurement is one of the easiest way where public officials siphon money. So if we are serious, we must see how we can implement public procurement law and processes to ensure money for value in this country. The third area is this frivolous and devious constituency project that some of the National Assembly members are doing, which now you see a lot of ICPC officials are cutting up those so-called contractors and even the members to come and refund the money they have connived to siphon in the name of constituency project. If we are serious about reducing cost of governance, we must tackle those kind of expenditure. Another area that I think, if we are serious about reducing the cost of governance, it has to do with some of these frivolous projects. Every government comes with so many projects that they are not meant to be implemented. They are meant just to take the money out. That's why you have thousands of abandoned projects in the country, because we have lost national rolling plan system in the country. If you project that you have a project that will last for 3 years, then you need to plan so that there will be budgetary allocation to that. Another big area that I believe that we must also address to ensure that we reduce the cost of governance in this country is our security sector reform expenditure. We did not see reflection of the money spent on our security sector. So it is absolutely necessary that the government must do everything possible to look at how we are spending or we are not spending in the security sector. Because if you look at the reports of even the Auditor General, you will see that so many equipment and facilities that were meant to be delivered to police, they never got there. And so many weapons, rifles that disappeared from the police and the army, nobody accounted for it till today. So if we are serious about reducing cost of governance, all this traveling abroad, medical tourism that our public official headache when they get, they travel out, they refuse to set up or to build solid hospital that can at least take care of them and the rest of Nigerians. That's how we have spent so much taxpayers' money treating the former President Buhari in London. And when he goes there, the aircraft that is parked in the airport, we are being charged for it. So many things. So if this government is serious and ready and really determined to ensure that they minimize the waste and duplication of public taxpayers' money for looting, then they must take radical reforms that will block the leakages. As it is now.
Thank you very much for your insight. Now, I'll take you back later to the monies devoted to security. But then, it's a good thing you have your pen and paper here. But I wish you came with a calculator because I want to take you on a journey. I hope you're ready. For 2023,
for that journey.
2023 expenditure grand total, 21.83 trillion naira. Out of that, 7.2 billion naira has been set aside for the president and the vice president's apartment maintenance, just the villa maintenance, 7.2 billion naira. That's why I asked you if you had a calculator so we could do some math. If the government is serious about reducing the cost of governance in Nigeria, what has taken us so long to do something about it? Because former President Muhammadu Buhari made a promise during his campaigns that it was actually going to cut down the cost of governance. It never did.
Yeah, so like
it looks
I said,
like it's easier said than done. Is that what it is?
But if you have the political will and the determination and the quality team that can help you implement those promises, it is durable, it is possible. But when we have quacks, you have characters that their own intent is to come and, you know, steal public taxpayers' money and pretending to be fighting corruption or pretending to be doing governance, then that is the sin. For example, every Nigerian knows that the so-called money trader was a fraud, which the former vice president, you know, was implementing.
You're talking about trader money.
Yeah, trader money.
That
was a fraud.
Yeah.
Look at the former minister of humanitarian, you know, affairs. She introduced e-feeding even when COVID was there. They said they were feeding school children. So those kind of fraudulent projects that, you know, took trillions. Thank God that now the subsidy fraud payment has been stopped. We did not want it to be stopped. We want it to be investigated so that those who have siphoned our trillions must return those money, because Nigerians never enjoy any subsidy, you know, under all this period that have been happening. It is just an opportunity for people to siphon the money. That is why you look at the consumption, the rate of consumption of the petroleum just suddenly dropped. So, which means that when they say they bring 20 ship of fuel, actually in reality, they brought maybe 4 or 3 and they are paid in advance. So the CVN must be reformed to sanitize our financial sector so that all this money, that illicit financial outflow that is happening, as you know very well, we are losing over $18 billion annually just to money laundering. Yeah. We have advocated for the passage of the anti-money laundering and prohibition. We need it to be implemented. And that is why we are actually working to unveil and suggest an anti-corruption agenda for this government, even though this government does not, you know, commit itself to fighting corruption, but we Nigerians, we must commit the government to fight corruption.
Absolutely, and that might just be a good place to start. But let's let's bring it down to brass tacks. Let's itemize the issues, because I mean, presidential fleet, hospitality costs, and all of that were mentioned in Bengashiru's report there, and you broached on it. But how do we practically, in practical terms, in sustainable terms, close those gaps? I mean, you talk about the need to look at the procurement process, for example, and what reforms, what kind of reforms? I mean, you touched on those. What more reforms do we need to put in place to check this wastage in governance?
First and foremost, let's Tinubu set up economic management team that can help drive the policy of the economy of the country. From there, you will be able to realistically look at what the need for the nation's spending is, and you will be able to block leakages. Do you know there are so many tertiaries, there are so many institutions in this country that Nigerians, they don't even know, but every year there's a budget for it. Nobody even know their existence, and they don't submit report. No accountability. That is why if you look at the Auditor General report, you will see the scandal. Several of the government-funded agencies are not providing any report of their spending. So it is there, they just pass the money, they give them and do the sharing. That's what is happening. So another thing that I want to also say is that this Tinubu and his people, both the legislature, must repent not to repeat what had been happening in the country, whereby some members will incite budget and go to the ministry or parastatal and tell them that, okay, this is their own, so they should bring it out. You remember there were some ministers, there were some head of agencies that protested that this National Assembly under Apabio, even though a lot of people are very skeptical whether he will be able to fight corruption, because National Assembly work, part of it is to expose corruption, block the leakages. They have the power of the purse. They need to make sure that they help Nigeria and Nigerians from blocking those duplication and those permanent, inciting of project. That's the only way we can deal with that.
And so much has been said about the Rafsanjani report. So before we wrap this, I mean, what are those items in that report really that can help? Check this very quickly.
Okay, there are a lot of institutions that are playing more of like the same, role.
Right.
And instead of having several of these institutions that are not productive, that are competing with one another, the Rafsanjani report clearly recommended that there should be merger on some of those institutions and agencies of government so that we reduce the cost of spending money. Every year you do budget allocation and nobody sees this thing. Every year they buy a computer, every year they buy new cars, every year in the budget they buy tables, they buy everything. Why must it be that way? So if you have that report and you are determined to operationalize the report, I am telling you, we will be able to succeed in reducing a lot of duplication and waste and diversion opportunity for public officials to divert public taxpayers' money.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Time will not permit us to take you back to security because I was going to let you just say a word or two about how the money is devoted to fighting insecurity could be justified. Anyway, we hope we'll be able to have you again sometime. So thank you for coming.